Okay, have you ever really truly thought about what's happening in the ground right under your feet? I mean, we call it dirt, but it's so much more than that. It's a living, breathing, unbelievably complex universe. So today, let's pull back the curtain and uncover the secrets of living soil.
I want you to just picture that for a second. Go on, really imagine it. Not just empty space and rocks, but a bustling, chaotic, beautiful metropolis, teeming with life. And all of that action, is packed into the amount of soil you could scoop up in one hand. It's a world that is absolutely fundamental to our own, yet it stays almost completely invisible to us.
And look, when I say teeming with life, I am not exaggerating. In just 1 single gram of healthy soil, that's about the weight of a paper clip, by the way, there can be over 1 billion living organisms. 1 billion! We're talking thousands upon thousands of different species of bacteria, fungi, protozoa. The list just goes on and on.
So, the big question is, who are all these microscopic creatures? What in the world are they so busy doing down there? Well, they're the true architects of fertility. And what they're building is the very foundation of life on this planet. So let's dive into our first section, the universe beneath your feet. This is all about that world being built by those invisible architects we just mentioned.
Which brings us to our second section. Meet the microbial engines. Because right at the heart of this hidden universe are the microbes. You can think of them as the engines driving the entire system. They may be the smallest players on the team, but they have, by far, the biggest jobs.
And these microbes, they're constantly multitasking, performing 4 absolutely critical jobs. First, they're the cleanup crew, decomposing all the dead stuff. Then, they're alchemists, mineralizing those materials to unlock nutrients for plants. They're also diplomats, forming these incredibly powerful symbiotic partnerships. And get this, they're communicators, sending messages using a sophisticated chemical language. So, to put it another way, when you see leaves fall in the autumn, it's this exact microbial process that turns them into the perfect food for the tomato plant you're hoping to grow next summer. It's nature's ultimate recycling program, and it is happening all the time. All right, section 3, fungi, the great connectors. Because it's not just bacteria running the show. The fungi, wow, they act as the soil's hidden internet and its superhighway system, this vast, incredible transport network weaving through the earth. And the difference they make is just staggering. Take a look. On the left, you see a plant root on its own. It has a pretty limited reach, right? It's kind of struggling. But on the right, that exact same root system is supercharged by a partnership with mycorrhizal fungi, creating this massive web that can efficiently track down and absorb water and key nutrients like phosphorus. How much more efficiently, you ask? This much. These fungal partners can increase a plant's root surface area by up to 1,000 times. 1,000! That is an unbelievable advantage. It's like giving the plant 1,000 times more mouths to feed itself with. But they do even more. It's incredible. Those long, thread-like strands you see, they act like a natural superglue, binding tiny soil particles together into these stable little clumps we call aggregates. This creates a perfect, porous, sponge-like structure that holds onto water, allows air to get in, and fights off erosion. They are truly ecosystem engineers. Okay, on to section 4, the engineers and regulators. Because beyond the microbes and the fungi, there's a whole management team of larger organisms that are physically shaping the soil and keeping everything in balance. So let's meet a few of the key players. You've got your nematodes, these tiny worms that act as the regulators. By eating bacteria, they release extra nitrogen in a form that plants can slurp right up. Then you have the famous engineers, the earthworms, tunneling through the soil, creating channels for air and water, and leaving behind these super nutrient-rich little hotspots. And you can't forget the shredders, like Springtails, who chew up leaf litter into smaller bits, creating way more surface area for the microbes to get to work. You know that amazing, rich, earthy smell after a good rain? Ever wonder what that is? You're actually smelling something called Geosmin. It's a compound made by a specific type of bacteria called Actinomyces. So next time you smell that, just remember, you are literally smelling the sign of a healthy, thriving microbial community hard at work. Pretty cool, right? And speaking of cool, some bacteria have a literal superpower. They can pull nitrogen gas right out of thin air and turn it into fertilizer. It's amazing. Rhizobia bacteria, for instance, living on the roots of certain plants, can fix up to 200 kilograms of nitrogen per hectare every single year. That is a massive amount of free, all-natural fertilizer. Which brings us to our final section, protecting our living foundation. Because after hearing all this, the question becomes, what's our role in this incredible living world? Well, we need to become stewards of the soil. And this right here is why all of this matters to every single one of us. It's simple. The health of this underground world is directly, and I mean directly, linked to the health of our world up here. Healthy living soil grows more nutritious food, it holds more water to prevent floods and droughts, and it stores massive amounts of carbon, helping to give us a more stable, resilient climate.
And the best part is, we can actively support this life. It's not that complicated. Applying compost, that's like throwing a massive feast for the entire soil food web. Reducing, or even better, eliminating tillage, that protects those delicate fungal internets we talked about. Planting cover crops makes sure there's always a living root in the ground, pumping out food for the microbes. And of course, a huge one is avoiding excessive synthetic chemicals, which can really harm this fragile community.
Ultimately, I think it all comes down to this idea. When we make the choice to nurture the billions of lives working tirelessly beneath our feet, we're not just growing food, we're partnering with an ancient, deeply wise system. So the real question for all of us is, are we ready to start listening to what the soil has been trying to tell us all along?